Good afternoon to you. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Remeisha. It's time to see what is happening out there in the tropics. Of course, we are getting pretty close to the end of the month of October, and of course, that means we are closer to the end of hurricane season, but we've still got a little over a month to go, and things could still get kind of active on us. Typically, this is the time of the season where things kind of start to wind down, but of course, we will closely track whatever pops up on us as we go through the remainder of your 2024 hurricane season. Let's start off where we do have some action, and that is in the Eastern Pacific. This is Christy, and Christy is a super powerful hurricane. In fact, as of the 4 p.m. advisory, it is up to a Category 5, so that is as strong and as bad as it gets. But here's the good news. Christy is tracking off to the west, moving away from Mexico, away from the U.S., but you can clearly see that well-defined eye. You can see that it is very healthy looking, very organized. So thank goodness it's not going to be impacting land, because it could have done a lot of damage. In fact, it is up to a very powerful hurricane. Like I said, the last advisory showed it right around 160 miles per hour. You can see a Category 5 hurricane is 157 miles per hour or stronger. So as of the 4 p.m. advisory, it is still at 160 miles per hour. So that is a very powerful hurricane, like I mentioned. But as you can see, it is pushing west pretty quickly, around 16 miles per hour, and it will start to shift more to the northwest in the Eastern Pacific. Notice that it is forecast over the next several days to remain out over the open water, so it is not going to be a huge threat to anyone. That's what you want when you're talking about a Category 5 hurricane. In fact, it is going to start to run into a less favorable environment for it to sustain itself by this weekend and early next week, and it will start to lose some of those tropical characteristics as it runs into that cooler, drier air by this weekend into early next week. But for now, it is certainly a very powerful and dangerous hurricane, but not going to affect anyone. Now let's flip over to the Atlantic basin. Of course, these are the systems that could potentially impact us, and it's already been an active season so far. We've had 15 named storms starting off the season with Tropical Storm Alberto. Of course, we were hit right here in Houston by Beryl, which at one point grew to a Category 5 hurricane, but hit Houston as an 80 mile per hour Category 1 hurricane back on July 8th. Then we moved on to Chris, Debbie, which became a hurricane, of course, Francine, which was a hurricane. Then we had Helene, which was a major hurricane, Kirk, which grew to be a Category 4 hurricane, Milton, most recently, was a Category 5, and of course we had Nadine and Oscar over the weekend. So the next name on the list would be Patty. Hopefully we won't get Patty anytime soon, but of course we are watching things closely. So like I said, 15 named storms, 10 of those becoming hurricanes, and out of those, 4 have become major hurricanes. All right, let's get a wide view of what's happening right now across the Atlantic basin, the Atlantic Ocean, Caribbean Sea, Gulf of Mexico, and fortunately, for a change, things are actually quiet. Of course, we've gotten rid of Oscar, we've gotten rid of Nadine, so nothing going on as far as any tropical systems. In fact, we don't really see any tropical waves that are concerning. So I think at least through the weekend and early next week, we're not expecting any major action. So things should stay pretty quiet. However, let's talk about what could happen towards the end of next week across the Atlantic basin. A few of the models are hinting at some tropical development that could occur as we go towards the end of next week. This will likely be around the west or west central Caribbean. So that is where we could have maybe a tropical wave that could turn into a tropical depression, tropical storm, or hurricane popping up. It likely won't threaten Texas, but it could have some impacts to Florida, especially that heavy rainfall and flash flood risk. Still a little early to say exactly where it's headed or what type of impacts it will have, but we are certainly keeping our eyes on this potential system. Our futurecast will show through the weekend. We're going to stop the clock here around 7 p.m. Sunday. There's not a lot going on, just some general showers and storms across parts of the Caribbean and over into Central America, Mexico, but nothing really organizing across the West or Central Caribbean. However, as we go into Tuesday of next week, Wednesday, Thursday, notice that there's a little something popping up here. You can kind of start to see that counterclockwise rotation. It looks like a tropical system is trying to get going very close close to Jamaica, and it would be off to the east of that east coast of Central America. So possible tropical system in the Caribbean? Yes, it is a possibility. We're looking at the 5 p.m. Wednesday time frame. So almost a week from now, we could have something that may start to develop, and it could cause some problems to parts of the U.S. You can see that's where it would develop near Jamaica. There's Miami. So yes, some of those outer rain bands, some of that tropical moisture would likely push up towards Florida, even if Florida doesn't get a direct hit. But I think we'll be protected for the Houston area. I don't think it's going to head here, but of course it's something we will be monitoring very closely. As far as water temperatures out there, they have been unusually warm and mild all season long. So above average sea surface temps for much of the season, with the fall cold fronts that we've had and with a few major hurricanes rolling through the Gulf of Mexico. Those water temps have cooled off a tad, but they're still warm enough to sustain the potential for tropical development. So the chance that we would have anything developing in the Gulf is very low. However, if something were to develop, we do still have that warm water that could act as that fuel to make it a little stronger. So we are still keeping a close eye on especially the western Atlantic, the Gulf of Mexico, and the west and central parts of the Caribbean. So this season has been very busy. Like I said, in a normal season for the Atlantic Basin, we'd have about 14 named storms. Out of those, 7 becoming hurricanes, and out of those, 3 becoming major hurricanes. But this is what we've had so far for the 2024 season. It's already been an above average season with 15 named storms, 10 of those becoming hurricanes and 4 becoming major hurricanes. This is the forecast that NOAA put out towards the beginning of the season, and we've already reached that range of 8 to 13 hurricanes and 4 to 7 major hurricanes. We haven't quite reached the range of named storms that they predicted, but hey, we've still got a little over a month to go, so there is still the possibility that we could have 1 or 2 more of these tropical systems popping up. Typically though, once you get to the final month of hurricane season, which is November, the chance for any tropical development out there really starts to decrease. But you can see where we do still have a few areas where it will be possible, not likely, but possible. Those areas highlighted in yellow, and that would be parts of the western Atlantic, the central Atlantic, and notice the western and west central parts of the Caribbean Sea. That is exactly where we will be monitoring for that possible tropical system by the middle to end of next week. So these are the areas of concern. You'll see that there's nothing highlighted in the Gulf of Mexico for November. Chance is not 0, but it is extremely low. However, you always want to be alert as long as we're going through hurricane season. Of course, there's always a shot that there could be something bubbling up. So certainly keep that in mind and just make sure that you stay alert, because hurricane season does not end until November 30th. So we still got to get through the last few days of October. Notice with our tropical history, the peak of hurricane season was back on September 10th. We've made it almost to the end of October, and we're kind of going down the roller coaster with the chance for tropical depressions, tropical storms, and hurricanes much lower for late October and for November. But like I said, it's not impossible. So we are monitoring things closely. Of course, we are doing our detailed tropical updates daily every afternoon. Make sure to check us out. Of course, you got plenty of ways to catch it. Fox Local now on your smart TV, on your phone as well. So head to your phone's App Store and make sure to download Fox Local so you can keep track of all the tropical happenings, weather where you live, and of course all our original content as well. So hurricane season starting to wind down, but there's still the possibility of maybe another tropical system in the Caribbean by the latter part of next week. So we'll be watching it closely, but for now, that will do it for your tropical update for this afternoon. Stay safe out there and enjoy the rest of your day. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Remeisha Shade.